All right, so get this, right? Researchers over at OpenAI, they're basically teaching AI to think more like how we do. And the results are, well, they're pretty mind-blowing, to be honest. We're diving deep today, right into their research paper. It's called Let's Verify Step by Step to figure out how they're actually, doing this.
It gives such a fascinating look at how we can kind of move beyond just thinking of AI as this black box, and start to actually understand how it reasons.
And the best part, you don't need to be some kind of math genius to understand it.
Yeah.
You gotcha.
What we're really going to be unpacking today are the techniques.
Yeah.
Right? And how those techniques really could revolutionize AI as we know it.
Okay, so imagine, right, you give an AI all these super hard math problems, and we're talking about this data set. It's called math, and they made it specifically to test how well AI can think logically.
It's like their version of a final exam, right?
Exactly. It's the final exam. Now, there are a couple ways, right, that you could teach AI to tackle these problems. You could do it one way.
So the first, and maybe the more obvious way, is what the researchers call outcome supervision. So think about it like grading a test, right? You just look at the final answer, you mark it right or wrong.
Right.
That's the feedback the AI gets.
Makes sense.
That's it.
Simple.
Yep.
Keep it simple.
But the OpenAI people, they were like, but what if there's a better way? What if, instead of just the answer, we look at how they got there?
Yeah, yeah.
So they call that process supervision.
Okay.
And that's looking at the entire process, like what you would do if a student was showing their work,
Oh.
and give feedback along the way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So instead of just yes, right answer or no, wrong answer, it's here's why this step was good, why this step wasn't so good.
Exactly.
Okay.
Giving it way more information.
So it's a much richer understanding of the why behind it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets really cool, because they found that wasn't just a little bit better.
Yeah.
It was way better. It wasn't just a little bit better. It blew it out of the water.
Whoa. Okay, so how much better are we even talking here?
So get this. The AI that was trained by looking at the entire process, it wasn't just solving harder problems. It was actually coming up with solutions that even the researchers who wrote the paper, they were surprised.
Really?
They were whoa, I didn't even think about that.
Okay, so it's not just about getting the answer right? It's understanding how to get there.
Yeah, and even more than that, right? Because you can't just memorize the answers to these math problems.
Right, there's a process.
There's an understanding.
Okay, so then how do you measure something like understanding in an AI? How do you quantify that?
That's the cool thing about this math data set, is it's designed in a way that to do well on it, the AI can't just memorize a formula. It has to actually apply it in a way that shows some deeper understanding.
So it's the AI was coming up with its own problem-solving strategies almost.
Yeah, they give this one example in the paper, right? Where there's this geometry problem, and the shape is really complex.
Okay.
And the AI that was using process supervision, it was able to not just guess the right angles. It applied the law of cosines, step by step. It actually demonstrated real trigonometry.
Whoa, okay. But let's be real for a sec, right? Who cares if an AI can solve for X, why should we care if some computer can solve for the angles of this crazy ship?
Because it highlights just how much potential this process supervision has, right? If we can teach a computer or an AI to think effectively in this very abstract domain like mathematics, right?
Yeah.
Just imagine what we can do with real world problems.
So you're saying this is much bigger than just AI acing their math tests.
This is this research is opening the door for AI that can not only make really critical decisions, but explain how it got there.
Okay, and that's
in a way that we can understand.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a huge piece of, I think, trusting AI, right?
Yeah,
it's okay, if you made this decision, how did you get there?
Yeah.
Especially in something medicine or finance.
Exactly. It's not just a magic 8-ball.
Yeah.
It's about moving away from that black box.
Yeah.
And being no, this is a transparent, accountable system.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got this whole process supervision thing, which is showing your work basically. But there's another layer to this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Active learning. They use that in this too, right?
So they do.
To make the AI even smarter.
Yes.
Okay, so like what is that? Like break that down for me a little bit.
Okay, so imagine like instead of trying to teach a student every single concept, right?
Right.
You let them guide their learning by letting them ask questions about what they're struggling with.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's basically what active learning is.
So it's like the AI is like raising its hand being like, hey, I need a little bit of extra help with this thing over here.
Got it.
It's about making the AI an active participant in like its own education.
Interesting.
And it turns out that by doing that, they learn way more efficiently.
Because they can focus their energy.
Right, right.
Makes sense, like just like humans.
Yes, totally. Yeah.
So, okay, so we've got the AI like learning to think, step by step with that whole process supervision thing.
Right.
And then it's like raising its hand saying, hey, I need extra help with this, with the active learning.
Exactly.
What happens like when you put those two things together?
So they wanted to see, the researchers, they want to see how far they could push this, right?
Okay.
So instead of just using like, made up math problems,
Right.
they decided to use real problems from, get this, AP exams.
Oh, wow.
Like the ones that high school students take
Yeah.
for college. Yeah, no pressure. So
Yeah.
like, how'd it do?
Well, did
How'd it work?
Remember how we were talking about like the AI like showing a deeper understanding?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just memorizing formulas.
Right.
It was actually like reasoning.
It was like developing its own like little playbook almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's actually what allowed it to be so successful, even on these like brand new problems
Interesting.
that it had never seen before.
So it wasn't just like, a fluke or it got lucky with these other problems.
It wasn't just like a coincidence.
It like really showed that it like learned how to like solve these problems.
Exactly.
That's really cool. Okay, but I want to bring it back down to earth for a second, right?
Okay.
Like, why does this matter? You've hinted at it. But like, why does all this matter beyond like math problems and exams and all that?
So imagine a world, right, where AI isn't just this like mysterious black box
Right.
that spits out answers,
Right.
but it can actually explain to you like how it got there
Yeah.
in a way that like makes sense.
Yeah.
And that you can actually trust.
Like almost like I don't know, like a doctor, I guess, or something, where it's like not just here's the diagnosis, but it's like here's how I got to the diagnosis.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Like, you go to the doctor and they're like, this is what I think you have. But imagine they're like, and this is why, and this is every step, and this is what we're going to do.
It makes you feel a lot more comfortable with that decision, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just blindly trusting, you're like, oh, okay, I see how you got it.
Exactly. Or
Yeah.
think about like, self-driving cars.
Yeah.
Where the AI has to make like split-second decisions.
Yeah, high pressure.
Right. Based on tons and tons of data.
Yeah.
If we can teach AI to like think transparently in those situations,
Yeah.
that could like completely change how we like think about transportation.
Totally. Yeah. It's a lot to think about for sure. This has been an amazing deep dive. I mean, who knew that making AI show its work could be so powerful?
It's like we're really on the edge of this whole new era of AI, right?
Yeah.
Where it's not just about like, can it do it,
Yeah.
but like, can we trust it?
Right.
And can we understand
It's
it?
like explainability.
Exactly.
Well, hey, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time for another, awesome journey into the world of knowledge.